Taking a look at a final as Week 13 is underway in the NFL. It's the Buffalo Bills taking care of New England 24-10. Not much drama in this one late. Buffalo dominant early and still left some points out there. 22 of 33 for 223 was Josh Allen. Two nice touchdown passes, ran it for another 20, but both the passing and the rushing yards south of his player props heading into this game. It was a lot of Devin Singletary and a lot of Cook as well out of that Buffalo running back room. And on the other side, it's Mac Jones looking like Mac from 2 weeks ago and not Mac from Thanksgiving Day. 22 of 36 for $195, and about 50 of it came on a single throw. New England's only touchdown of this game as the Pats fall to 6-6, right in the thick of a messy AFC playoff picture. All right, let's dig in with CBS Sports NFL writer Tyler Sullivan. Tyler, really this one was decided somewhere in the middle of that game and really never a doubt here coming down the stretch. I want to pick apart this New England side, but first, question always goes to the victor here. Let's talk about Buffalo and maybe what you learned about them because while they did come away with a win and a multi-possession win at that, still doesn't look like a team that's firing on all cylinders.
Yeah, and obviously you have to look at the left tackle spot. Deion Dawkins not playing in this game. That's going to be an X factor for this team going forward. Obviously, they lose Von Miller going on IR for the next 4 weeks. But to me, it's about the offensive line for Josh Allen, giving him enough protection in front of him to read the field and make the necessary throws. That is going to be the biggest thing for them, not only going forward in the regular season, but obviously into the playoffs and as they try to march to a Super Bowl. To me, the left tackle spot was an issue for them in this game tonight. And that's where we're going to focus on going forward. To me, it's all about this offensive line. Yes, the defense, you could say a few things about them, but ultimately, to me, it's about the offensive line and how they can protect Josh Allen going forward. Because after all that gets set, he's talented enough. The weapons around him are talented enough for this offense to really pop off.
Game was not without its highlights, especially from Josh Allen, who tends to give us them every single time he's out there on the football field. Spectacular touchdown pass, which he bide time to the right side. As you take a look at Allen and his current form, a lot has been made about the elbow in the weeks past, but in terms of what we've seen and what we saw here on Thursday night, looks to be pretty clean and pretty confident in that body right now.
Yeah, absolutely. And you look at what they're able to do offensively, there's really no flaws. I mean, even you said it in the intro, too. James Cook starting to come along. Devin Singletary, I think, is one of the more underrated backs in the NFL. You have a lot of options in that backfield now, and not only counting Josh Allen, what he can do with his legs. I mean, just looking at that from that standpoint alone, running the football and playing defense, that's what wins you these games in the wintertime and when the weather gets cold and obviously in the postseason. And again, you go even further than that with Stephon Diggs, Gabe Davis, and all the things that they can do in the passing game. Heck, they're meeting with Odell Beckham this weekend. So for me, yeah, they're the second betting favorite to win the Super Bowl this year, but I almost feel like you could buy low on this team right now. I know Kansas City's the only team in front of them, but right now it does feel like the only thing that's preventing them from really blowing doors is getting healthy. And obviously that starts, like I said earlier, with the left tackle spot and Deion Dawkins.
A couple stiff tests out in front of them. Feels funny to say, but the Jets defense does present some problems. That's who they'll see next in 10 days. So Allen with even more time to get that body right, as well as his running mates. On the New England side, we know it's a franchise that you keep your ear to the ground on at all times, and they've really been high highs and low lows here over the last 3 weeks. After scoring no offensive touchdowns against that Jets defense, they pop on Thanksgiving. We feel like it's moving in the right direction. And then outside of one splash play here on Thursday night, there was not much offensively. What's holding this group back on that side of the ball, Tyler?
Yeah, to me, it's about the offensive play calling. That is the biggest issue going into the year, obviously, with Matt Patricia taking over play calling duties and Joe Judge being the quarterback's coach. That was a major concern going into the year. Obviously, you look at their previous spots in Detroit and obviously with Judge in New York, Daniel Jones in particular regressed under his leadership as the head coach. And right now, we're seeing Mac Jones regress in year 2. And you look at the play calling. Even look at that game against the Minnesota Vikings on Thanksgiving, that controversial non-touchdown by Hunter Henry. That throw should have been in the end zone, but for some reason, those play designs, they're at the line of scrimmage or they're at the sticks, they're at the goal line. They need to push the ball a little bit further down the field. You saw that in this game tonight, too, on these third downs, these 3rd and 7s, these 3rd and 6s. For some reason, these play designs, these routes that these receivers are running are nowhere near the sticks. And so for me, that's the biggest thing that we're seeing from from this team, not being able to get into any sort of rhythm and having to go in these 3-and-outs and punt the ball away. To me, it's the play design first, and then you look at the offensive line. Obviously, they were down a couple of tackles in this game. Mac Jones didn't have a lot of time to throw, and he was under pressure a lot. But again, to me, it's the protection in front and the play calling that's the biggest issue for this team. I don't think it's Mac Jones at the moment.
Well, as you take stock of Mac Jones moving forward, yes, patience needs to be one of the operative terms here, as he's not really surrounded by all that much talent, at least from the position player standpoint on the outsides, guys that can really stretch the field and threaten. But this is a head coach who only knows winning, and the clock only moves forward, not to insinuate that we're near the end of any sort of era, but urgency versus patience. Where are you at on Jones here in year two, and what do you want to see here over this next month of the season that indicates, all right, everybody take a deep breath, this is the guy moving forward?
Yeah, I don't know if anything that Mac Jones can or can't do right now is going to change any minds. I mean, we're going through a very tumultuous season in year two with Mac Jones that obviously goes back to when Bailey Zappi was coming in and he was playing for the injured Jones, and obviously that he was benched and kind of brought back in. So you look at what he's gone through. It does feel a little bit like quarterback development malpractice that Bill Belichick is doing with Mac Jones this year because of what he's putting in front of him in terms of the skill positions, the coaches. There's not a lot of places for him to succeed here. And whether or not he's the guy, it almost remains moot at this point, because I don't know if you draft another guy or if Bailey Zappi comes in, if they're having similar results or there's someone who's performing much better. So for me, as much as I want to see steps from Mac Jones to prove that he is legitimately a franchise quarterback that this team can build around, I don't know if the Patriots, as they're currently constructed roster-wise and coaching-wise around that quarterback, can really tell us anything about him at this point.
And still the Pats, they remain in the mix and in the hunt as we take a look now at the AFC playoff picture. This game was laden with implications. The Bills now 9-3 on the year. The Pats, meanwhile, they're 6-5 and on the outside, 6-6 now on the season. And on the outside looking in, these numbers will be updated as we take a look at this playoff picture. But I want to talk about the Bills right now, and in the grand scheme of things, where they stand, Tyler. Are they closer to that 1 seed and that bye, or to a wild card berth in your eyes? I guess I'm asking a question about the Dolphins.
Yeah, no, I mean, obviously it's going to be huge this weekend in San Francisco with the Dolphins taking on the 49ers. And if all of a sudden things break Buffalo's way, then you're starting to talk yourself into a very promising weekend if you're a Buffalo Bills fan, because not only are the Dolphins road, obviously, dogs going up against the 49ers in what is kind of a sneaky Super Bowl preview, I guess, but also the Cincinnati Bengals are going against the Kansas City Chiefs, and you own the tiebreaker over the Kansas City Chiefs after a win earlier this year. So if things fall right, you all of a sudden are talking about a number 1 seed and number 1 in the AFC East. So for me, this is a massive moment here for the Buffalo Bills, obviously getting this win on Thursday night. But now we can see kind of other chips fall, and all of a sudden they start rocketing up the standings here, not only in the division, but also in the overall playoff picture in the AFC.
The situation remains fluid, and that means we need a statement. Time now for the Geico 15-second statement. Tyler Sullivan, the floor and the clock are yours. Tell me something I need to know about either one of these ball clubs.
Well, we'll go with the New England Patriots here, and I've kind of been alluding to it, but they need fundamental change, or else they're going to be in the basement in the AFC East for the foreseeable future like they are right now. You look across the division, we were just talking about it. Buffalo's on the upswing as a legitimate Super Bowl contender. Miami this year is turning themselves into a Super Bowl contender with Tua Tagovailoa becoming a franchise quarterback. And the New York Jets, they're a quarterback away from legitimately getting into that conversation as well. I don't know if it's going to be Mike White or Zach Wilson, but if they go into this offseason and acquire a Derek Carr, a Jimmy Garoppolo, or whoever is available to them, they have a defense that's top 10 in the NFL, and they have a coaching staff that I think could get them to the promised land. So for me, the Patriots, you got to figure it out because the rest of the division is.
This is when it's good, and it's only going to get better. Going to be a fun home stretch with Tyler Sullivan here on HQ. Thank you, Tyler. And don't forget, the conversation always continues on the Premier Pod in the entire NFL. Our guys keeping you up to the minute as we get down to the nitty-gritty in the NFL. Will Brinson, John Breach, Ryan Wilson, all across the board on the Pick 6 podcast, bringing you all the latest. Download, subscribe, and enjoy right now.
Do you want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis, no yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.